Money Multiplier is running a giant one. He's currently in second, and Wake Forest is also finishing well, but it's World Approval doing the best work. And World Approval and Florent Giroux, a dominating win in the United Nations.
Bobby Shoemaker, Andrew Calvano. It's Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge for Friday, July 8th. 4 races as always on the docket, and Andrew are going to stay in one place this weekend, beautiful Belmont Park, and do the late pick 4, which will be races 8 through 11. And Andrew, this might not be Belmont Stakes Day like, but this is darn close to it. What a great card that the NYRA Circuit has put together, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. And, they had a lot of horses ship in from all over the country for this year card. And like you said, although it's not Belmont Stakes Day, I think it's the closest thing to it. There's a lot of great prices, not only in these last 4 races we're covering, but throughout the day. It's going to be prices all day long, and this pick 4 could pay well over 4 figures.
And we'll be breaking down the pick 4 as well. And Andrew, not only horses coming in from all over the country, but horses coming in from all over the world. Yep. And that'll start right here in Belmont Race 8. It is the Grade 1 Belmont Derby Invitational Stakes. It's 1.25 miles on the turf for 3-year-olds. It's a field of 13, and Long Island Sound, the 7-horse, is your 7-2 morning line favorite. It's Aidan O'Brien. This horse is losing to a horse named Hawk Bill, who just might be the best 3-year-old in Europe. Much the horse to beat. And I'm surprised this horse is 7-2 morning line and not even a shorter price.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think this horse is going to be pretty tough to beat. Aidan O'Brien won't ship here for nothing. He knows that he could probably win this race. This one went for the $800,000 at the Keeneland sale back in 2013. This 3-year-old colt in a war front. He's 3 for 4 lifetime. Won 3 in a row, then tried Graded Stakes Company out there at Ascot. And like you said, Bobby ran into Hawkbill, who's now won 6 in a row, including a Grade 1 just this past weekend. So the connections, you can never throw out Michael Tabor and Aidan O'Brien especially. And this one's definitely going to be tough to beat. However, I can see this one definitely getting bet some more, especially if it looks pretty good in the paddock. I think that's what people are really going to take to see what this horse will drop down to odds-wise. But, Bobby, I'm going to our old friend, the number 9, Beach Patrol. I think he can really do it here, and I think he's going to get it from a pace perspective. The last down in the Penn Mile, it just didn't look like he wanted the track. And I know that Penn National Turf Course can be a little wacky. Some horses just take to, and some horses don't. And I'm kind of hoping that was the case here for Beach Patrol. This horse is going out a second time now for Chad Brown, and usually by that time he has his horses cranked. Love the fact that Castellano hops on here aboard. I don't think if Chad Brown wasn't serious about moving this horse forward, especially for Saratoga, I don't think Castellano would be aboard. And I read a statistic when Chad Brown switches jockeys. He's only done it 13 times in Graded Stakes Company like this. 5 times has done that with Javier Castellano, and he's won. He's 5-1-1 out of 13 starts when switching to Castellano in Graded Stakes race. So a lot of DRF stats, backing my horse up here, and I hope he just gets a similar ride how he did in the American Turf on Derby Day, and hopefully he scores at a big price.
2 horses I want to ask you about pace standpoint, and let's go back to Long Island Sound. I know it's very difficult to really try to read where you think this horse is going to be. I think this horse is so good that he can do whatever he wants, but obviously for your sake and for my sake, and we'll get to my pick a little bit later on, I hope he's further in the back. Where do you see the 7 setting when they turn for home?
When I watched the replay of the last race, he wasn't too far back, but he was a little bit off. But in earlier races, I couldn't watch the replays because I guess you don't have replays for allowance races in the middle of the months of May at Ireland. But it said he was early to the lead and straight to the lead. So going off that, maybe he's forwardly placed today. If he's as good a horse as I think he is, I really wouldn't want him on the front end because I fear that he'll just wire the field. He's that good. So I'm kind of hoping he's a couple lengths off and has to earn it.
Well, for me, Andrew, and I see this a lot even with Chad, when these horses come over to the U.S. and run the first time, they don't break well sometimes. And for whatever reason, they're flat-footed coming out of the gate. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be the case. So I'm hoping this horse just breaks poorly out of the gate. The other horse I wanted to ask you about is the other Chad Brown runner. He's got his number 1 jockey, Irad Ortiz. That's Camelot Kitten. Andrew, when I look at this horse on paper, I just don't understand how he's won the last 2 races. I mean, I get May 7th he had a fast pace to run into, but he came out of the clouds with no form before that. Last race, I didn't think the pace was that hot at all, and he still overcome that and won the race. Obviously, he's going to be closing. Your thoughts on this horse and his opportunity to win 3 in a row?
Well, I left him off my pick 4 ticket that day at Churchill Downs, and I'm sure not going to do it here. I'm definitely going to include him, but I think his last 2 races really just goes to show the power of this horse and how he's coming from all the way back there and chasing down some pretty good horses here. And, I mean, like you said, Bob, you look at this horse and you say, how does he come back from 8 lengths all the way back and 5 wide? He just comes cruising like a rocket. And if you just look at it, he ran 1 bad race, and that was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And really the other one other than that was when coming off a layoff trying Keeneland out in the spring. So I think there's a lot more out of this horse. But I think this horse will be bet of the 2 Chad Brown, so I'm going to try to avoid.
Highland Sky with Tag, Luis Saez aboard, another closer. Do you think he's pace compromised? Because to me, in my opinion, especially the last race, the form is not that much different from Camelot Kitten, except it's Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz.
Yeah, I'm actually going to include this one as well. I think the pace is going to be pretty tough, especially if the 7 goes up. So I can see him getting a pretty decent trip and closing late. I don't know if he's going to, be a better horse to win this race, but I could definitely see him rolling late, and I don't want a horse like that knocking me out in the first leg. But he is improving off the layoff. He ran a decent race, finished second at Gulfstream Park. Then he won the Woodhaven at Aqueduct and tried Grade 3 Company, and if the race was a second or 2 shorter, he wins the race without Camelot Kitten coming to get him. So I'm going to include, and I think moving forward, he's going to find himself in some good company in Saratoga.
The 13 horse is the last horse I want to go into before I give you my top selection. Also an Aidan O'Brien runner. I think it's pronounced Dalville. Now, I am big on trips early in races on the inner. This horse is drawn way outside, but he's also got a ton of class. Obviously, has not been as successful as the 7 horse for Aidan. Do you give this horse any type of shot? Because the odds makers have this horse at 4-1 morning line.
Yeah, I'm going to include this horse underneath, but I'm not going to include him in my pick 4. I'm just going to include the 1 Aidan O'Brien and go deeper in the card. But, I mean, you can't knock his credentials. Like I said, Aidan O'Brien, you can't knock him. So if you're playing tries, exactas, maybe include him protectively. The horse is a Grade 3 winner, Grade 2 placed horse. But like you said, Bob, that 13 draw, especially first-time North American, which you said a lot of them have gait troubles, it might just be too much and a little bit of time for this horse to recover. So that's why I'm going to play against.
I'm big into tries, and I look for prices first and second in hopes of making a lot of money for a small bet. I'm not including this horse at all. I just think is everything that you just said. I think he's the second best of the Aidan O'Briens in this race. It's not even close, and he's going to be compromised from the outside draw. Could break poorly on an inner turf. I want nothing to do with this horse at all. If he beats me, tip of the cap. I just don't see it happening. Well, my top selection, Andrew, is probably going to surprise you for just a little bit here. I'd given up on this horse. I thought that the Triple Crown Trail try did him in, and he gets back on turf, and the number 8 Air Force has turned into a different type of horse. Now, his form is dirtied up a little bit the last 2 races, but because he hasn't won either one of them. But he did all the dirty work May 7th when he lost to Camelot Kitten and Beach Patrol and Surgical Strike. They went really fast in that race, and he carried the load for a long time, and he was only beat 2 3/4 lengths that race. Then they ship him to Penn National, going a mile against Catch a Glimpse, who I think a lot of people are going to have singled in their pick 4s, and that horse bobbled out of the gate, lost all chance of winning in a slow pace, and then came on like a rocket to finish second, beat only 2 1/4. I would have liked to have seen what that horse could have done with a better break. Andrew, I think he's running better than Beach Patrol right now, in my opinion. And I think those 2 are going to be the horses that are going to be on the lead. And I think if the 2 jockeys are smart, and I have a lot of faith in Julian Leparoux, who, by the way, has won 15 stakes races this year, which is tied for most in the U.S. He and Castellano can go out there. set some soft fractions, and they're going to have, and the rest of the field is going to have to come and get some good horses. I think Aero Force has found the surface in which he wants to be on to begin with, and I think it'll be between the 8 and the 9 down the stretch. And I think Aero Force is going to get it done. I'm going to go 8-9, 8-9, and all in my try, and just pray that the 7 breaks poorly and comes on for third. I think Aero Force is in the best form of his life, and I think he's going to win this race.
I agree with you, Bob. And when I was watching that replay of the Penn Mile, when I was looking at the Catch a Glimpse race, as you see Catch a Glimpse just mowed down the field, you see Aero Force showing a lot of heart. And like you said, if he's not chasing a horse like Catch a Glimpse in that race, it's just an easier win for him. And Bob, we talked about this horse, that day going to Derby Day on that American Turf race, and we thought, okay, he's pinned on the rail, so he's got to flash some early speed. And like you say, he did all the dirty work that day and was caught by a horse that day who was 18-1, and the horse that we were on in Beach Patrol. So I know his form is dirtied up, especially when you try to get to the Kentucky Derby, and I think there was a lot of questions surrounding that, not only from us as handicappers, but a lot of guys that were top end here in the business. So from that aspect, if you're getting 10-1 on a horse that's a Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf winner, second to hitting the bomb, but
which
still,
basically is winning.
Exactly. And a horse that going into this year, before they said, we're going to try this horse for the Kentucky Derby, you thought was the best turf horse in America.
Right.
People would argue that. So, Bob, you get 10-1 on this horse. You know how much appreciation I have for Julian Leparoux, and we say it every week. We get the comments heckling him, but at the end of the day, he is tied for stakes wins, graded stakes wins in the country. You get Mark Casse, although he's been a little cold, this is one of his top horses in his barns. So go with it. I like your pick, Bob, and I'm definitely including him in my pick 4. Where do you want him set up, though? Do you want to see him on the front end again?
I absolutely do. I'm betting this horse with him being on the front end, and I think he could be on the front end early by himself, and Javier could track him with Beach Patrol. Either way, I want the 8 and the 9 forwardly placed because I'm going to bet him in my try and just close my eyes and hope the 7 doesn't come catch him. But I want the 8 on the front. I think the 8 and the 9, the only way they win this race and they upset what I think is the best horse in the race is a 7, is make sure they have a tactical advantage. They need to get to the lead, and they need to try to slow things down after being aggressive the first quarter. I think either one of them have big shots to win. I just think Aero Force's race May 7th, even though he lost to Beach Patrol and others, really caught my eye, and I don't think they're going to go nearly as fast in this race as they went in that one.
Yeah, without a doubt. Going into the pace, Bob, who do you see on the front end here?
I see Beach Patrol and Aero Force setting the pace and going up there and doing it on their own, and hopefully, 24-4, maybe 49 and change. And if that's the case, and the 7 is nowhere on the TV screen because of a bad break or he's middle of the pack, I think I'll like our chances. Now, if the 7 breaks better and he's on or near the lead, I'm probably not going to feel as good about it. But from a tournament play perspective, the 7 is going to be well bet, and you don't know what you're getting. He's shipping a long way. I don't know what they're doing from a Lasix perspective, but this horse is going to be overbet to a certain extent because you don't know what you're going to get first time in America, and maybe he freaks out like Flintshire. But I like our picks, and I think we're going to have a tactical advantage at the end of the day.
Without a doubt, I think we land on some very good sound horses at double-digit odds. And to answer your question about Long Island 7, he will have Lasix for the first time.
Lasix first time. So give us your pick 4 play in this sequence. I know you went deep here, and understandably so.
Yeah, so I went 5 deep here to start off the pick 4, and we're going to go 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Highland Sky, Camelot Kitten, Long Island Sound, Aero Force, and Beach Patrol to get us through here.
And I think you're definitely going to get through there, and I just hope it's with the 8 horse.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to Belmont Race 9. It's the Grade 2 Suburban Handicap. It's 1.25 miles on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. It's a field of 9. And my favorite horse in training, FNX, the 5 horse, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Andrew, this horse has run 3 races this year. I give him a pass for what I thought was a semi-poor effort at Santa Anita. He looked like the old FNX when he beat Melatonin at Oaklawn Park. And then I singled this horse in my pick 4 last time out, and he ran as poor as I've ever seen him run. Do you still think, though, that he's back at his home track? Did the morning line odds makers get it right? Is he the horse to beat?
I wouldn't say he's the horse to beat in here, honestly. And in my pick 4 here, I'm not even going to include him just because I'm trying to get a price. So I will throw out FNX. Am I afraid that he can beat me? Absolutely. But me looking for the price I think I can get in this pick 4, I'm not going to include him. But like you said, Bob, this horse came off. It wasn't that good in the Sandy in the handicap and lost at Melatonin, but came back and beat him at the Oaklawn handicap. And the Stephen Foster handicap was odds on and just ran very poorly, like you said. And I don't know what Jimmy Jerkin said came out of the race, but it just didn't look like he wanted any part of there. My pick, I'm going to go to number 2, Move to Hege for Kier McLaughlin, coming back first time North American from Maidan. The rumor that I'm hearing is that he's been training alongside with Frosted in company. He's working out the similar work patterns of Frosted. I had Frosted on Belmont Stakes Day, but I'm not saying he was like 8-1 or something like that. But the way Frosted ran, if this horse can come back from Maidan just like Frosted did, I think this horse can upset here for Kier McLaughlin. And I mean, he ran 2 races here in North America. He ran into American Pharoah both times. The Belmont Stakes, he was going 1.5 miles, was closing a little bit, but either way wasn't chasing down the Triple Crown winner. I think the horse has a lot of good races under his belt, especially watching that Dubai World Cup behind California Chrome, who some will argue is the best horse in the world right now on dirt. So we'll see. June 24th, sharp workout, including the June 26th one as well. He's coming back. He's getting Lasix here, so I'm sure that will kick the horse up. Irad Ortiz takes him out, so I think there's a lot of good things pointing to the horse, and hopefully he can get me a price over at FNX here.
Yeah, this leaves me scratching my head a little bit because I threw the horse completely out altogether. I just didn't like his efforts overseas. I thought he kind of fell into second place against California Chrome because I thought a lot of other horses that I liked just quit down the stretch and somebody had to finish second. I didn't like his races in America, but I know how you are with hearing things in the paddock, and if Karen's saying he's working well, certainly I'll probably have to reassess from a pick 4 play perspective. But when reading this race today, I just did not like him at all. As far as a pace perspective, as far as the pace is concerned, who do you see on the lead? How fast do you see him going? And where do you see your top selection lane?
I'm hoping Move to Hege. If you look at the Kentucky Derby effort, and obviously the Kentucky Derby, he had a decent post there, but he was very far off the pace. Then he came back in the Belmont Stakes, and he was sitting right off. That's where I want him. I want him in that second group of horses, sitting right off the speed, and hopefully Irad's saving some ground there, a little bit off the rail, and he's coming out, making his turn on the stretch, and comes and rocks him down. As far as a pace perspective, what I'm seeing here, I got Noble Bird going right out to the lead, right from the rail. He's going to be on there. Wouldn't be surprised if Shaman Ghost is a little bit forwardly placed, not all the way out there with Noble Bird, but he will be out there for sure. Eagle has some tactical speed. Don't really see him on the front end again, but that's a horse that could add some good pace. And number 7, Samrat, who I actually think is going to run with Noble Bird. So as far as the top 2 speed horses, I see it as Noble Bird and Samrat. And if Samrat doesn't want to run, looks like Noble Bird could be the lone speed here.
What are your thoughts on Eagle altogether? Again, I've picked against this horse in previous races, and he proved me wrong once. Again, he just seems like a horse that's got multiple opportunities to win races, sits good trips, gets good rides, and just doesn't finish. He's a horse that I love to bet against because he's going to be bet below 5-1, and he's going to run well, but I just don't think he's going to win the race. Your thoughts on Eagle overall, and do you agree that he's not a horse that likes to win a lot?
I agree with you. And although his record, 15 starts, 6 wins, 5 seconds.
Not recently, right?
Yeah, no. It doesn't seem like that. And he's coming out of the Stephen Foster handicap, the Ali Sheba, and the Ben Ali. And I think it was us who talked about the Ali Sheba, I want to say, and we weren't really on him that day. I think this horse just really likes to hang. If he's sent out farther to the front end today, I think he can make more of an impact, but I don't know. This horse just isn't for me in this spot.
Yeah, he's won one race since December 19th of 2015. And, he hung against Majestic Harbor. I thought he had every chance to pass Bradester last time out, who was valiant in winning the Stephen F. Foster. He can beat me. The horse I'm going with is the horse that he beat on April 16th at Keeneland, and that's Noble Bird. I'm sure FNX is mad at me and will probably run and win by 8 lengths now since I'm picking against him. But this horse's strength is getting to the lead, and I think he's one of the better dirt horses going 2 turns in the country as far as older males are concerned when getting a lead. If you go back to that race the day before the Preakness, he was spectacular that day, and even though he blew the lead April 16th and lost to Eagle, it was second off of a long layoff. He might have just needed another one. The Ali Sheba, he did not like the fact that he didn't get to the lead and had dirt kicked in his face, and he just didn't like it, ran up the track. But I think this horse has got all the speed in the world early. I believe he'll be able to establish himself from the rail. Again, it's Julien Leparoux. I'm just going to take my chances here. I don't really like anything in this race, Andrew, to be honest. I think Shaman Ghost has a lot of talent going forward, but I'm completely on the opposite end with you as far as the pace is concerned. I think that horse is going to be way out of it early. I just think he holds a tactical advantage. I think the only horse that can beat him in this race is FNX. If he's the old FNX, he'll stalk the 1, and when they turn for home, he'll blow the doors off of them and win an FNX style. I'm just not sure if FNX is the same horse anymore, and I know that Noble Bird is going to get to the lead, and he's going to have every chance to win the race. Therefore, I'm rolling with the 1-horse Noble Bird at 4-1 morning line.
Bobby Shoemaker going with the Julien Leparoux, Mark Cassidy double from race 8 to race 9, and you got to respect it, Bob. And I think we were on this horse. We were both on this horse for the Ali Sheba back at Churchill Downs, and like you said, just didn't get the front, and just a wash race altogether. And then I remember we watched that race on Preakness Eve in the Pimlico Special. We texted each other, why couldn't he do that for us on Churchill Downs?
He was dominant that day.
And I actually tried to beat him in the Pimlico Special that day, and it just didn't work out. Then he runs into the Met Mile, and Frosted does his thing, so you can't really take much out of that race when you have a freak show winning by 14.5 lengths. And if this horse can get on the front end and nobody wants to go with this horse, Bob, I think that puts you in a very, very nice spot turning for home. The horse I was going to ask you about was Shaman Ghost, and where you see this horse in this race and moving forward at that.
I really like this horse. I think this horse is going to have a very good second half of the year on the dirt. I just don't know if he's going to be close enough. There's some really good horses that I think he's going to be behind early, such as FNX and such as Noble Bird, and maybe Mutahish if the horse was close and you're high on him. I think the future is bright for him. I'm just not sure if it's bright in this spot. But I will say this to you. Joel Rosario is an elite rider once again, and he just seems to be putting horses in the right spots on a consistent basis. And if that's the case, maybe I'm wrong. If this horse is more forwardly placed, he would have been my pick. I just don't think he's going to be that close, but his future is very bright.
Without a doubt, and I'll use him in the pick 4 as well. And I think that Brooklyn handicap last out on Belmont Stakes Day, he just romped. Now, I'll give other people the fact that maybe that race wasn't too strong. Maybe the horses weren't the best in there. I mean, Turco Bravo ran second there, and that horse has been around the New York circuit forever without being able to win much. So out of that race, sure, but I think this is a really good horse moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to do anything from an exotic wagering perspective except for playing the pick 4, and I'm just going to go Noble Bird and FNX most likely in here. I may look at Mutahij. I haven't decided my pick 4 play yet. No trifectas for me in this race. I don't think there's money to be made. Who are you going with in your pick 4 here?
So going on to pick 4 here, I'm going to go 2 deep, and that's going to be Mutahij 2 and Shaman Ghost number 3.
Okay, so we're going to move on to race 10 on the card, Andrew. No big deal, just another grade 1. It's the Belmont Oaks Invitational. It's a 1.25 miles on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. It's a field of 13, and your favorite, and she certainly doesn't need any introduction. It's Catch a Glimpse, the 12 horse, at 2-1 morning line favorite, and she will not sniff that when they leave the gate.
No, and I was actually surprised when I did the morning line odds. I put the horse right at 7-5. In fact, I think that's where she's really going to go off closer to. There's nothing you could say to really knock this horse at all. If you want to knock one thing, then it could be the wet track debut in Saratoga when it wasn't on turf. This horse hasn't lost a turf race since, and I mean, the record speaks for itself. A lot of people are saying that the outside post will really nail her here, but I disagree with that. If you look back at the Edgewood on the Friday before Kentucky Derby, she was out in the 10 post and still won the race and still got to the lead. So I think this horse has enough pure talent to get to the lead and do her thing. And To be honest, I don't know who could really steal it from her if she decides to go out to the front end. So I think she's 100% the horse to beat, and she will be singled on most pick four tickets. I'll add one more horse just in case because I have the horse I've been tracking for a while, and that's number 4, Time in Motion at 6-1. I think that's a good horse you can wheel, catch a glimpse with. Horse has won 3 in a row since the layoff of Keeneland back on Halloween weekend, winning a maiden special Gulfstream. And then 2 restricted stakes here at Aqueduct and Belmont, respectively. Johnny B's aboard. Beat some pretty good horses in Harmonized and Last Waltz for Chad Brown. So that's a horse I would look at to wheel with Catch a Glimpse.
There's nothing more frustrating for me when reading a race and going into it and saying, I'm going to beat this horse. Yep. And then you read the race and you read the race and you figure out that you can't beat the horse. And she's just really good. And she's frustrating to me, and I've tried to beat her so many occasions because she's so unprofessional coming down the stretch. She won't switch leads. The jock's doing everything he can to try to get her to switch leads. She won't do it. In the very last minute when she needs to do it, she switches and she wins the race. But to me, it's never visually impressive. And then you get the numbers back, and it's numerically very impressive.
Yep.
She's just special, and I think the horse is just going to be able to get to the lead and do her own thing and do it the same way she did it on Penn Mile Day. And I know they're going further, and she's never gone the mile and a quarter yet, but how can you pick against this horse when she's done nothing wrong except the fact that she's unprofessional down the lane, but it hasn't mattered. She's won anyway. I will say this. I can't play her in tournaments because she's probably going to be 6-5 or 7-5 most likely. And the only way I think you would play this horse in this spot, Andrew, is if you're in a big tournament and you're in the top 3 or top 5 and you think she's a free square and you're confident that the people ahead of you won't take her. And then you moving up one spot could be the difference in hundreds to maybe $1,000. But, what are the odds of that? You don't know. So you have to go into it thinking price play. I reread the race telling myself that the 8-horse Auntie Joy, who I think is capable of running with her at least early, was going to go to the lead and soften her up. Now, if I'm Brian Hernandez, I do the same exact thing that they did 2 starts back and just ride behind her and try to collect the paycheck and run second or third in a graded 1 stakes race. But if Hernandez does get aggressive and says, I'm not going to let her get to the lead this time, he could soften her up. And the price play that I'm going to go with here is the 6-horse Harmonized for Belmont, Junior Alvarado. Alvarado having a heck of a meet at Belmont Park. Belmont, it's summer. He tends to turn it up at this point. This horse has not had a good start to a race this year. Look at the running lines here, Andrew. Bump start, stumbled start, brush break, 2 wide, 3 wide, 5 wide. This horse has never really had the potential or had the chance to show its potential. Now they put blinkers on. What's that tell me? The horse is going to break better from the gate. And I'll use an example to that. The Yurton team out west with the dead closer, Kobe's back. I've heard this guy on the record 2 or 3 times saying the horse is starting to break better with the blinkers on. I'm thinking the blinkers will allow this horse to break better out of the gate, will allow this horse to sit closer to the lead. And again, if the 8 goes out with the 12, I think the 6 could set second shelf in third place at what I think is going to be above 10-1 and could win this thing. I mean, obviously, it is a tournament play. I'm not betting this horse through the window. But if you're looking for something to beat what I think could be a freak, I think it's the 6-horse Harmonized.
And I agree. That was a horse I looked at as well. And obviously, I've been tracking that horse for a while and was a lot of people's top picks going into that Breeders' Cup race in which she lost to Catch a Glimpse. So a respectable play there. I think we could make some money if Catch a Glimpse should walk this race or whatever it may be. I think there's enough value to come back underneath. I don't think it's going to be a chalky trifecta. I think you could really catch some good prices underneath. So it's good to see we're on those. A horse I wanted to ask you about, I'm very surprised by the move to turf, but what do you think about Landover Sea coming back to the turf here?
I was getting ready to ask you that myself, so you took my question here, Andrew. But I think it is a desperate move to try to find something new. I mean, in my opinion, I think that this horse has been ruined by Songbird. I mean, she tried the poor thing tried to beat her how many times, couldn't do it. I know she had the one good win at Fairgrounds, but who did she beat? And then after that, it's just, she hasn't run well. I guess she ran well May 6th, but after that, the Pimlico Special, she was really bad. And Andrew, if they had confidence in this horse moving forward on the dirt, wouldn't they just draw a line through the Black-Eyed Susans and say, let's just give her a rest and then put her back on the dirt? Now they're switching surfaces. I don't get it. I think it's a desperate move. I don't give her any shot here to run well.
Yeah, and I thought that was very confusing as well. And Bob, you brought up the point, just getting beat by Songbird so many times, and what does that do to a horse, mentally? And Kentucky she closed very well, and at one point it looked like she can get by Catherine Sophia before, Lewis Bay, which she eventually did, but then Catherine Sophia came and closed well. But that Black-Eyed Susan, steadied and checked going into the first turn there. I'm sorry. And just, beating 7 lengths. But still, like you said, you would think the connections would just draw a line and look for a race, here, or even wait till Saratoga or go back west. But, that wasn't in the game plan here. And this horse moving a turf, very confusing, and I will be playing as well.
I don't like that move at all. Tom Form, big fan of Decked Out, the 2-horse. This horse is going to be coming from way out of it. I don't think if you're going to upset the Superstar that you're going to do it from way out of it. I think you're going to need to be closer. Your thoughts on Decked Out, the 2 at 15-1?
Yeah, I'm just not a fan either. I'm always weird when Keith DeSormo and Kent DeSormo come out here to Belmont Park, unless they have a real superstar. They never really seem to take any races. One of those superstars would being a horse like Texas Red, but they come out here often, and it just doesn't seem like they have much product, and they always get bet. And this is a big, cheap horse. So, we'll see. But like you said, I don't know from a pace perspective this horse would get it. I don't think any of the horses that she's faced on turf are really that good. The only horse I'd give a nod to is Stays in Vegas. But other than that, I just don't think this is a horse that could really be considered here.
Andrew and I both believe that Catch a Glimpse is so much the horse to beat. But Andrew, from a pick 4 standpoint, are you going to go deeper than just the 12?
Yeah, I'm just going to add one more horse. So I'm going to go 4-12 here. So the 4 being Time and Motion and the 12 Catch a Glimpse. And if Time and Motion, can't take it at a price and knock out a lot of singles in the pick 4, I'm sure Catch a Glimpse will get us through.
I think from a try standpoint, Andrew, I am going to go 6-12, 6-12 all here, just because if the 8 does go up there and soften her up and the 6 wins this race, and I don't have the 6 on top, then I would certainly be upset. So I'm going to go 6-12, 6-12 all in hopes for a miracle, but she just looks very good, and she might just be a little tepid. So let's move on to the last race on the card, and it's certainly not a bad one, Andrew. It's race 11. It's the Grade 3 Belmont Sprint Championship. It's 7 furlongs on the dirt for 3-year-olds and up. It's a field of 9. And here's our old friend, Private Zone, the 2-horse, your 2-1 morning line favorite. I guess I don't have any arguments with this horse being the morning line favorite. I don't think he should. But when you go to the past performances and you look at the class and who the horse is beating and who the horse is losing to, Run Happy, you really can't argue it. I think he's beatable. Your thoughts on the 2-1?
And we're kind of in the same boat here. We understand why he's the favorite. He is beatable, but he could very well also crush this race. The last 3 times this horse hasn't won the race, he's losing to horses like Tonalist, Run Happy, and Honor Code, like you said, dating back to the Met Mile of last year. But I don't think he'll get it from a pace perspective. I think he's going to be really bothered on the front end. And I don't know if this horse has really experienced that before with the addition of the layoff. I read a statistic that horses leaving the Navarro barn are just stone cold, and it's just a whole different atmosphere. Now, I know this is the second start for Brian Lynch, but I don't know if the horse can come off the layoff like this. He didn't really seem to do that in last year's Gulfstream Park handicap. But you look at the workouts. 3 bullet drills in a row leading up to this race. So who knows what to expect, but I will try to beat this horse for sure. And like I said, I think the horse will be bothered on the front end. So I'm going to look for a little bit something off the pace, and that's number 6, Joking, will be my top play here at 10-1. This horse is in great form, truly improving with each stride he takes. True North Grade 2 winner last time out. moderate pace, a little hot, a little moderate second half there, but just came and drove and won off the pace there in great fashion. So if he gets a similar trip to how he did there, I think he can upset the field here at 10-1.
I think that there's going to be a lot of pace in here, Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, I think obviously Private Zone's going to be on the lead. I think the 4-horse has a chance to be on the lead, Roxbury and Overton. I think the 5-horse could possibly go to the lead, which is AP Indian. And certainly the 7, Green Grotto, is going to go to the lead. If Private Zone wins this race today off this layoff,
really earned it.
Boy, has he earned it.
Yep.
And I'm going to take a horse, and I bet you know who I'm going to take. And it's the same horse I took on Belmont Stakes Day, and Frosted told me, not so fast, my friend. And that is the 9-horse Marking. I don't know why I like this horse so much, but I am a firm believer, Andrew, that this horse can be as close to a freak as you can get. Same old tune as I said on the show, Belmont Stakes Week. Go back to that race December 26th going this distance. He runs that race. He wins today. And I thought he ran very well June 11th at Belmont Park. Early, coming from overseas, off that layoff. In fact, I thought I had a chance turning for home for a brief second. I thought he ran well. I know he was beat by a lot. I think he just needed the race. In fact, I think the 7 furlongs hits him between the eyes. Second off the layoff for Kieran McLaughlin. I think he set second shelf behind the horses that I mentioned that are on the lead, and he'll show the country what he's about today. I not only like Marking, I love this horse in this spot, and I think he's going to win the race.
And he definitely gets some relief coming out of the Met Mile. He has a race back on U.S. soil after Maidan. He runs into his stablemate Frosted, who crushed the field. Whatever, don't overlook the race. But I mean, that horse was eased throughout, and I think Lescano knew that when he saw Frosted doing what he was doing. So, Bobby, I knew you would be on that horse 100%. And there was a horse you didn't mention that about going out to the lead, and I think Anchor Down is also going to go out straight to the lead from the rail. So I think a lot of things are pointing to Private Zone not really getting the best trip here. And it's like you said, if he should win the race, then he truly earned it. But I'm with you, Bob. I'm going to take something off the pace here and try to beat him.
Speaking of Anchor Down, again, this just might be my Marking love here, but I was ultra shocked that Anchor Down was a lesser price morning line than Marking. Marking, again, 4-1, Anchor Down 3-1. Your thoughts on those two morning lines, and by the time they go out of the gate, do you think Anchor Down is still going to be a lower price than Marking?
Hopefully people will see it from a pace perspective and realize that, Anchor Down is not a faster horse than Private Zone, and there's going to be more pace alongside with that. So to bet that horse to win could be a little weird. We'll see what the board tells us. That's usually how it goes with these time pleasure horses here. But I think Marking will be a lesser price than Anchor Down by the time the post time comes around.
I would like to say this about your horse, Joking. I wanted to like the horse because I thought Marking was going to be bet below the 4-1, and that may not be the case. If, let's say, Marking chases that speed as well from that outside post and gets hung a little wide, I think you're on the right horse here. I really believe that. I like this horse's last 2 efforts. I think he's run very well. I don't think he should be 10-1. How far do you want to be off the lead? Do you think they're going to go fast enough to where this horse can come from 6-7 lengths off of it?
Yeah, in this 7 furlong sprint, I honestly think this pace could go 21 and change. And I think it can go really quick up front. I want him just to ride that same trip he did in the True North, where he's 4 lengths off the leaders throughout. They come to the stretch, they're all dueling one another. One horse puts another horse away and forgets about Joking cruising on the outside. So, 4 to 5 lengths back, anything similar to that True North. And for the viewers watching, if you watch that replay, this is how you really want the horse going to come turning for home, wearing down similar horses on the front end.
Where do you see Marking? I mean, do you see Marking on this lead?
I preferably, because I haven't included my pick 4, I would like to see him right alongside with Joking. I wouldn't want to see Marking chase the front end. I'm not for that here. I don't want really anything close to the pace. So hopefully, if he's just running alongside Joking, and if I'm alive for those 2 in the pick 4, it will be 2 a lot. So I don't want him to mess anything up. I want him to sit the same thing about 4.5 off.
With that being said, are you concerned then with Jose Lezcano being aboard because the book about him is this: he's aggressive from the gate.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about that?
No, without a doubt. But I think Lezcano knows the horse he has underneath him, so I'm thinking he just kind of plays it smart. And maybe if these 4 horses go first pack speed, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Joking's placed a little bit up, but I think where Joking goes is where markings kind of want to. It'll be a little bit in front of him or be alongside him because I don't think Lezcano wants Joking to make the first move on these front end horses.
Yeah, I think marking's going to be just a little bit ahead of Joking.
Yeah,
they're going to have every opportunity to win this race, and that's why I'm going to go 6-9, 6-9, all in the trifecta and see what happens. Your last pick 4 play, and then give us the entire pick 4 ticket.
Yeah, so to close it out, it's number 2, Private Zone, number 6, Joking, and number 9, Marking. So going back at it, 8th race for 5 deep, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9th race, 2 deep, 2, 3. 10th race, that's the Catch a Glimpse race. We go 4, 12 there. A lot of people will have Catch a Glimpse singled. If I wasn't given, I will play a ticket with Catch a Glimpse singled, so the players want to single around and just go up basically off my ticket. That's perfectly fine. And then we'll close out 296 for a 50-cent wager. That's a $30 ticket. So we're throwing out 2 favorites essentially in the sequence. So hopefully we're going to catch it and win at least 4 figures.
So Andrew's tournament play is 6 Joking. My tournament play is the 9 Marking. That'll do it for this edition of Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge. For Andrew Calvano, I'm Bobby Shoemaker. And as always, and until next time, good luck.
Good luck, guys.